It's the JJYP podcast.
So, how many times have you been to Disneyland?
Oh my gosh. I haven't seen you for this long, and that's the first thing you throw on me.
I just know it gets your goat. Sometimes I throw things out there just to get a reaction.
I am not a fan of Disney Corporation. Let's put it that
They're
way.
taking over the world.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
They might think that they are.
They own everything.
No, they don't.
Can't even poop without
They
hearing
don't.
Mickey Mouse.
They don't own my brain.
Oh, but it's getting close. I mean, Marvel. I mean, Fox. That they've bought up everything. They control everything. And you know what ticks me off is when you already are paying for the subscription, and then they come out with another damn movie, and you have to pay more to see the movie they came out with. How the crap does that work out?
Just stop watching all that superhero crap.
I don't know, Mickey.
You'll be fine. I'm so sick and tired of all this superhero crap.
I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon either.
Yes, it is. It's going to die out.
You think so?
Oh, people are going to get tired of it.
They make so much money off of it.
How many times can you watch the end of the world coming and somebody comes along and rescues everybody? I mean, it's getting tiring.
No,
I want to see human drama.
Yeah.
I want to see real life. I don't want to see all this make-believe BS.
No, they need more space movies. I actually am excited about that. The movie Lightyear.
Oh, yeah.
About Buzz Lightyear. Okay, I'm actually excited about that one.
Okay, good for you.
Just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I mean, if you're going to be forced to watch something, at least watch something you like.
But I mean, they don't have any. They don't have any creativity anymore. They just keep going back to the same formula. Let's go to the backstory of Buzz Lightyear. Let's really.
That's why I love movies like Encanto. And it's not
Encanto.
And however the hell you say it, Encanto. Pick a better. They could have named it something better.
Why?
I don't know. Encanto seems. Is it? What does that even mean in that language?
I haven't seen the movie, so I'm not going to even comment on this show.
You should see it.
You really think I need to see it?
No, I really do. I really do think you'd like it. But you know what? You are the weirdest person. As soon as I feel like, here's the thing about you. As soon as I feel like I'm getting to know you, really know you, because you're a complicated person.
Okay.
We're
I'm an
close.
enigma. Is that what you're saying?
Well, you are. You are an enigma, because just when I think I've got you figured out, I get surprised.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
That's what it's all about,
Do you
man.
do that on purpose, though? Do you have a certain wall?
Guess you'll never know.
You know that? Guess I won't. Guess I have to get it. I remember when I first got into your circle, you were like, you've been granted Code 3 clearance. Don't get excited. It goes all the way up to 16. So yeah. I understand where I fit in the scheme of things. But no, there'll be a movie that I'm like, oh, I'll bet Kerry's going to love this movie. And then I talk to you and you're like, that was the worst movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa.
Well, there are a lot of factors that go into a statement like that. I mean, it's not just the storyline, although that's the key feature of the movie. It's also the production and the CG and all that other stuff that helps me like it or not like it.
What movies I love are the ones that I can't tell where the CG begins and where in the real world ends.
Like Dune?
Yes.
Did you see Dune?
I did see Dune.
Oh, my goodness.
Dune was freaking awesome.
That kept me so captivated throughout the entire thing. And like you said, those sets were amazing. It was hard to tell the difference between, reality and CG. And where did they go for all of these great sets? I mean, it's just, that was an amazing show. I can't wait for part 2.
Well, it was I think it was The Lion King. Not stoked with what Disney did with the live action version of that. I just felt
the live action movie.
The live action movie.
I love the stage production.
That's where I was going with that. Because that's the first time a movie had ever been filmed that way, where they built virtual cameras in the set.
Yeah.
And the guys had to walk around like they still had the cameras, but they didn't, and it looked so much more natural.
Yeah.
Because all of that other CG stuff, the cameras perfectly moved, and you know, in the creative process, some of the greatest stuff that you end up coming up with is when you make mistakes and you're like, oh, wait a minute. That actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different nowadays when they make movies, obviously. I mean, I think back to like some of my favorites. I love Ben-Hur. I don't know if you've seen the movie Ben-Hur. What a classic.
Who hasn't seen the movie?
Well, and the sets. The sets. I'm talking the one way back. What was that, in 57 with Charlton Heston and those guys? The sets, I mean, they were incomparable. They were amazing. What they did back then, I mean, they built everything. You know,
Yeah,
you think
they
about
did. They
you
had
think
to.
about that, or the sets of Cleopatra, you know, and all that stuff. And nowadays, it's just a mock-up, or it's just a miniature, or it's CG.
No,
you know?
remember how pissed people were when Yoda came out CG?
Yeah,
It's like, dude, that doesn't look like Yoda.
yeah.
It really didn't. Like, why would you move away from the puppet? That's what everybody fell in love
Well,
with.
because they wanted to show Yoda in action, and you can't do that very well with a puppet.
You think Disney's ruined Star Wars?
I don't know that I want to comment on that.
Well, I want you to.
I'm not a
I'm
Star
pushing
Wars
you.
fan, okay? I'm not a Star
Oh,
Wars fan.
I didn't know that.
No, I'm not.
Wow, really?
Look, I would rather watch Star Trek any day, because for me, Star Trek is more plausible. It's more real. To me,
no, it's true.
Star Wars is more otherworldly, and it's just, I don't know, it's like steampunk version of space, you know?
It's like science fiction for science fiction.
I don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me to comment on that. Have they ruined it? I don't know. I've heard people say that some of the directorial choices and the paths that they've gone down are kind of weird and have taken away from the essence of Star Wars. But I'm just not a big fan, so I don't know.
Wow, I didn't know that you felt that way.
Yeah.
See, I'm learning stuff more and more every single day.
There you go. That's what it's all about.
No, but so Lin-Manuel Miranda, who I love,
Yeah.
I just think he's very musically talented. He was given free reign on it.
Yeah, right.
Encanto, or however the hell you say it.
Encanto.
Encanto.
Yeah, there you go.
Encanto.
Encanto.
I don't always drink beer,
Okay, that's the wrong
but
dialect.
when I do, I prefer Encanto.
That's more like Hotel Transylvania.
Hey, you know what, man? I
Okay.
don't know how it goes.
Okay.
Hotel Transylvania was a good movie.
I
too.
love those movies.
Those movies were great. The
That
last
is
one
so-
didn't have what's his name though? Adam Sandler. Did you know that?
No, I
Yeah.
thought they all did.
Nope.
Really?
This last one
Oh.
he was out, and I can't remember why that was.
No,
I'll
that
have to
breaks the magic of that one.
figure that out. But they let Lin-Manuel have complete creative control
sure.
on the music on it on that. And
Yeah, and he's very creative.
I think it was great. Well, you didn't like Hamilton though.
I like. You got to be careful how you throw these words around. I don't like. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a
Okay.
big fan of Hamilton.
What is that? I know, but now it feels like you're splitting hairs.
What we could get into a whole discussion about that, but it's just my opinion. And so my opinion about Lin-Manuel's music in Hamilton is worth nothing. It means nothing. But, you know, I mean, I love music. I'm really into music, if you will, and I write music, and I understand music deeply from a theoretical standpoint and an artistic standpoint. And there were just things about some of the music in Hamilton that didn't turn me on. I just didn't, I don't know. I just had a hard time with it, you know, and some of the thematic material of the songs, I just wondering, like, why did you put a song in there about that? I don't know.
Well, I hope that you don't ever see a Disney movie that turns you on. That's going to be weird.
Disney movies that turn me on? Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of the Disney animated features. I haven't seen Lion King. I haven't seen Pocahontas. I haven't seen a lot of the films. I choose not to.
You know what I did like that I wish that they would redo, they'd probably ruin it, but it would still be cool, is The Prince of Egypt.
Oh, yeah.
I really liked the music in that.
That wasn't Disney, though.
Yeah, it was.
Are you sure?
The Prince of Egypt?
Was it?
Heck yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That shows you how out of the loop I am. So, okay, here's the thing. I don't watch a lot of those movies. I don't get into them a lot. Even when I had children, my wife took the kids to see those movies. I didn't go. Shame on me. But it's just me and a Disney thing. But I do love the music Alan Menken, oh my goodness, that guy is so brilliant. He's seriously one of my heroes when it comes to movie music. I think the guy just has a talent and a knack for writing beautiful, beautiful melodies.
Well, and I didn't realize until I got into film a little bit how the scoring a movie versus writing a score is just completely different.
Yeah.
Because of the time.
Oh yeah, it's a process. It's hard.
Man,
and you have composers that come in there and they will put up an offering or two about this is what I'm feeling, or they'll play it for the directors, and the directors will say, "No, well, I don't really like that. I'd like you to take it a different way." And so, being a composer, writing a score for a movie or an animated feature or whatever, it's hard. It's really, really hard. It's a stressful process. And I think, sometimes that stress is what makes some of those composers become more creative.
Okay, well, I can always admit when I'm wrong. And I don't like to be wrong. There was a time that I thought that I wasn't wrong, but I was wrong.
Oh, yeah?
The music, was, first of all, for The Prince of Egypt was done by Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Hans Zimmer, yeah.
Hans Zimmer.
Yes.
And it was done by DreamWorks.
Yes.
So, yeah, you were totally right. What year did it come out, though?
Oh, gosh, what was that, 96?
Ooh, man, you were close. December of 1998.
Oh, was it 98?
Well, we learn things new every day.
Yes, we do.
Thanks, Google.
Yeah.
We appreciate you pointing us the right way on that one. No, music is so it has been such a major part of my life. And I can't imagine with all of the, you know so much about the theory, the music theory. Will you explain to the dumbs, I'm including myself in that statement, what the difference is between just learning how to read music and then getting into the music theory? How important is the music theory?
Oh, it's like super, super important. It really is. I mean, there are people that write music out there that don't understand the theory. They go by feel.
Yeah.
It feels good. It sounds good. And that's great. That's great. But theory takes you at a much deeper level. Reading music, simply reading music, is just being able to understand the language of music on a sheet of paper. Okay? When you read an article, you read words, and they go in a certain order, and they have certain sounds, and there's certain syntax and lexicology and things like that. And that's reading. Well, the same thing happens with music. However, rather than using a phonetic system or an alphabet, if you will, it uses notes on 5 lines. Those 5 lines comprise a staff, and there are, the plural of staff is staves. There are staves for, right hand of the piano, left hand of the piano, for voices, for instruments, and all that. And so it's just a pattern of notes on the page that you have to be able to recognize, just like you recognize the word cat in a sentence. A musician should be able to be fluent in reading the music. Now, I've heard that people like Billy Joel don't know how to read music, but he writes some of the greatest music out there, and he does it just by natural talent and ability. And he does it by feel, I guess, and he does it by what he hears. But that's reading music, right? So it's like reading a newspaper. But theory is actually the structure, the construct of what makes music music. Now, a good song, in my opinion, needs to have 3 elements, and people can argue for or against this. But to me, number 1 has to have a good melody. And I think that unfortunately today, that art has been lost by a lot of composers, a lot of singers, performers. They don't understand the elements of a good melody. It's got to be something that captivates the brain. It's got to be something that captivates the heart and everything about my being. And they a lot of the melodies out there have 1, 2, 3 notes in the whole song, and it's like, please, you can give us more than that. There's a whole range of notes. There are 12 notes, 12 pitches that we have in Western music. There's more than just 3. And then if you really want to get nitpicky, there's pitches in between those 12 pitches that even Eastern music uses. And I mean, it just goes so deep. But there's got to be a good melody. Then there's got to be a good harmony or chord structure or chord progression to that. To be a basis for that melody. Okay? And then thirdly, there's got to be some sort of rhythmic context that's applied to that to give it a sense of movement, to make it go somewhere. So in my opinion, as a musician, whatever level of quality I can apply to that term, those are the 3 elements. You got to have a good melody, got to have a good underlying chord structure, harmonic structure, and then you've got to have some sort of a rhythmic element that drives the music.
Do you know who Rick Beato is?
Yeah, I love Rick Beato.
I love him too.
He's got great podcasts.
He gets on the new generation of music all the time.
Yeah, and rightly so.
So do you think the digital age has kind of screwed us a little bit in that?
How so?
Well, it's more synthetic. It seems like some of the stuff that comes out, like the beats, come from like a beatbox. It's not someone actually, on a drum.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's maybe just a natural evolution of music when technology enters the picture. I mean, you go back to 68, 69 when Moog came out with the synthesizer, and some of the bands like Emerson, Lake and Palmer and the Edgar Winter band and things like that started to try to incorporate the new technology into their music. I think of the song Lucky Man by Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and they throw in there at the end that huge solo on the synthesizer. I mean, for us that grew up back then and heard that song for the first time, it was like, whoa, this is mind-blowing. This is so cool, And then it's kind of evolved to where it is today, where digital technology has such a major influence in the music writing and performance. But then you'll see these artists come out with an album or a session or something where they're unplugged.
Oh, yeah.
And it goes natural, to just a guitar and a piano or whatever. And it's not so synthetic as you put it, which I find really, really interesting because it changes the whole dynamic of the song and how you perceive it and how you feel it and hear it, when it's unplugged versus all that synthetic stuff that just gets in the way sometimes, in my opinion.
Well, and it's just cool to see, music layered, layer after layer after layer, the complexity that you can.
Oh, multiple
build.
tracks. I mean, you think back to Bohemian Rhapsody, when Queen had to layer all of those vocals on that operatic section, in the middle there. There were only so many tracks available,
and they had to dub over.
They
right?
kept pushing the envelope, and nowadays, gosh, I don't know how many tracks are involved with all the synthetic stuff that goes into. It's different. It's different. I don't fault it or see it as a negative thing. But again, I come back to a song has to have a good melody. Just like a movie has to have a good storyline, a book has to have a good storyline. If those things aren't there, it's not worth listening to. It's not worth reading or watching. Have you ever done marijuana? No.
I'm not like advocating this. Well, I guess in a way I am advocating it, but
This is like really random.
Well, there's a reason why I'm telling you this.
Oh, we're going back to Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds? Okay.
No, but I mean, we can't not acknowledge that the use of that particular herb to be used with prudence and Thanksgiving has had a lot of effect on the music, especially in the 70s and the 80s.
Well, even back in the 60s. I mean, when they were doing LSD, Haight-Ashbury and that whole period back then, I'm not going to presume to be any authority on this, but They would have sessions where they would get together and they would take this LSD and get themselves all high and whatever happens to you at that point. And it did have a creative impact on the music at the time. A lot of the music, I shouldn't say a lot, but some of the music was written under the influence of various hallucinogenic substances and things. And okay, it is what it is.
No, it is what it is. I'm just, from my own experience, the only reason why I speak to this is because I've experienced it myself. But being on marijuana...
You mean writing music when you're high?
Well, not even writing it, but listening to it. Like when you listen to music and you're high. See, marijuana in a lot of cases opens it exemplifies your senses. So taste...
You mean it amplifies?
Yeah,
it amplifies your senses.
It amplifies.
Yeah.
It amplifies.
Okay,
makes you more sensitive.
Yeah.
To those things, and it's like going from analog to digital in certain ways. It's just a whole different listening experience.
Yeah, it could be
from that.
I've never experienced that. I don't know. I mean, the way I hear music right now is just fine for me. I don't know that I need to have any enhancement or anything to help me hear it in a different way. Or,
sure.
When I hear music, I hear it probably very differently than a lot of the general public who maybe isn't into music.
Yeah.
But, so, and then you take people like Jacob Collier out there. I mean, the guy's an absolute superhuman musical genius. The way he hears and perceives music is even different than the way I do. So there's different levels of how we appreciate and perceive music and art and things like that. And we're all just on different levels and do it through different mediums.
But it really is the universal language, though. Like
people say that,
right? I mean, music profoundly affects. Doesn't matter what your walk of life is from. It seems like every single person has a type of music that they love and is affected by.
Well, for me, if you were to take the term music and try to attach some sort of a definition or a meaning to it, it would be music is an extension of human speech. Okay? So in that sense, it's a language. It's definitely a language.
An extension, or could have music been the first language?
I don't know. I can't answer that question.
That would be kind of interesting to figure out, though, wouldn't it? Because I wonder, they obviously, I mean, just talking from a caveman standpoint, they obviously learned how to make noises before they knew how to speak.
Yeah, I mean, that's very possible that perhaps, sounds, grunts, whistles, inflections of tones and things like that were a way to communicate. I mean, if you are frightened of something, your tone is going to go up and it's going to get high pitched and it's going to get kind of excited and whatnot. And whereas if you were very calm and mellow, that portrays something completely different. So they could have communicated via just sounds and things like that, which might be termed music. I don't know. But yeah, for me, music is an extension of human speech, meaning that we don't use words. We use sound. We use pitches. We use rhythm and things like that to communicate and make. Is that universal? Yeah, I suppose so on some level.
The music that's like
screamo.
Yeah. Do you consider that music?
Why not? Why not? Is it the kind of music that I would listen to on a daily basis? No, because as a vocal performer, what's that doing to the throat? What's that doing to the vocal folds? The vocal cords. What's that doing to your instrument? I just feel like it's beating up the instrument in a way that I don't like. I don't like hearing that because it hurts me. It pains me to hear that. So in one sense, yes, it's music. In another sense, it's painful music.
Well, I can't. My biggest frustration, just like a drink, this is why I never really got into alcohol, is if it tastes bad, it's bad. It shouldn't be an acquired taste, right?
Yeah.
And some of the music's the same way. It's like when you don't even understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting there screaming. Satan's down in hell going, I know they're singing about me, but I don't even understand what they're saying.
Well, I don't know that I'd go so far as to ascribe any satanic nature to that music. It is in and of itself music. Here's the thing. I don't know if you've ever seen the video out there that was shot of Yoko Ono in a subway somewhere. And she goes up to a microphone and she's surrounded by a handful of people. And she just does a bunch of weird mechanical noises and sounds and things like that that would make most people cringe. So, Yoko Ono, when she was performing that as a musical artist. But a lot of people, like I said, would probably cringe at what they were hearing and not classify that as any type of music.
Can we pull that up? Do we have a short little clip of that? Let's just see if we can't get this on here. Let's see.
Yeah, it'll have to be probably a pretty short clip.
For copyright purposes. It doesn't look like we're getting
able to get that up.
Sound. That's too bad.
Well, people can go watch that on their own.
Google it. It's Yoko Ono screaming at art show. Original.
Yeah, and so it comes down to personal opinion. Is it music or is it not music? Is screamo music or is it not music? I think anytime pitches and rhythm and sound are involved, it's got to be music. And I used to even ask students in my classes. I would teach music theory at the high school, and I would play that for them, and I would say, "Do you identify music with this performance?" And a lot of them would shake their heads or say no, and others would say, "Well, yes, it is." So, art is personal taste and it's personal opinion. And so it's different for everybody.
I totally understand what you're saying, and we do have that clip, so let's go ahead and just listen to a little bit.
All right.
Listen to her form, though. The breath support. That's
well, when you say listen to her form, you're talking about performance style, perhaps, but there is no form to that music at all. It's totally improvised. So I would not necessarily say that there was a form to it, but it's how she felt in that moment, and she put sounds to it. Is that music? I think so.
Sure, in a way, but like honestly, see, I know my personality. I would have lost it, man. Like I would have lost it. I don't know if the video shows the crowd why this is going on. But man alive, like because you're like, oh, here comes Yoko Ono.
Yeah,
and she comes up and you're like, this is gonna be. I wonder if she's gonna drop a new version of
Imagine or something.
Yeah, Imagine, exactly. And then she starts off with that. And it just sounds like an animal being tortured.
Well, but see, here's the thing: people are always pushing the envelope when it comes to art. They're going to try to take it to the extremes. They're going to take it to places where it hasn't been, perhaps, in modern history. I mean, think of the gentleman who put a crucifix of Christ in a mason jar filled with urine, and put that up as art. I mean, for some people that could be very offensive, and they don't see any artistic value in that at all. Others might say, okay, they've taken the concept of art to a completely different level. And so you have to look at that and examine that and say, is it art? Is it not art? And then be able to defend the position for either of those answers,
No, it is, and it's hard because that's when you're getting into definitive lines.
Yeah.
And you don't know, I mean, well, so what did you do? I took this paint and I threw it at the wall,
Mm-hmm.
and I call it jambalaya. And it's like, okay, like, I don't know if you could consider that art. I read somewhere that, like, as far as pictures, paintings go, some of these art artifact things that come out and are sold for just an absurd amount
You mean like
of money.
Hunter Biden's recent painting that went up at auction?
Yes, exactly. And how a lot of those are tax havens
Yeah.
for those people, because once they spend that amount of money on it and you're a celebrity, that's why it's worth what it's worth.
Well, as long as there are people out there that will look at the art that's being created and say, "Oh, that is art. I'll pay for it," then it's art.
That's true.
I mean,
if you're willing to fork out the dough, then it's obviously worth it to you. If you're willing to pay that amount of money for that.
I guess
crap.
so. It's like the movie, I forget what it's called, where Kevin Hart's character makes a picture of a Doberman or something, and somebody comes along and pays, like $500,000 for this picture because somebody else says, "Ooh, that's really artistic. That's awesome," and he buys this thing and it looks hideous. But as long as there are people who are willing to put their money up and say, "Well, to me, that's art," then it is.
Well, and that's the catch. That's the hardest part, because people would say that what I'm doing is art. It's
you mean the podcast?
Yeah. It's a type of art,
Sure.
And I'm just like, man, I wonder if you could transcribe what the podcast to what a painting would look like, how that would turn out.
Well, I think there are computers that could probably do that because, they have AI right now that is composing music based on all of the programming that the AI has been given as far as music and its understanding, and it's produced some very interesting things.
Really?
Yeah.
100% completely hands off from humans?
Yep.
Like the computers made it themselves?
Yep, exactly.
What does that sound like?
Pretty good in the cases that I've heard. Pretty good. So, I mean, there's some stuff to look up, and I love the whole concept of art. And, of course, music fascinates me out of all of the different art categories. Sorry, my voice is a little bit raspy today.
No, you're fine. I'm glad you stopped smoking. That's good.
I've never smoked in my life. The only thing I've probably ever smoked was a turkey breast.
All right, here's a little short example of oh, that's not going to work. Okay, well, never mind. I'll have to research that.
Yeah,
talk about that. I had no idea that AI was doing that.
Oh yeah.
What do you think of AI? Does that scare you a little bit?
Yes. Yeah, I it does. I mean, I'm not scared to the point of what was the movie with where the robots took over?
I Am Robot.
I'm not scared to the point of it getting to that level where, some central computer core is going to take over the world and, ruin all of our lives. But I think it's good. But you have to remember that even artificial intelligence is programmed by humans, and humans are not infallible, and humans can make mistakes, and so there could be false input or something that's a misinput that could cause the AI to go in a certain direction based on false information. And so I don't know. I get a little bit scared about that kind of stuff, but not to the point of it taking over the world.
I think AI could eventually end up being the moral compass that we have as a society.
How so?
Well, it takes the emotion out of things and gives more of a practicality. For instance, I know like Tesla, they're working on an algorithm that if a Tesla is going through an intersection and there's someone walking through the intersection, and let's say one person is a young boy and the other person's an older woman, and someone's going to have to get hit, it will be able to make that split-second decision and go,
okay, now that scares me. Now that scares me because I would never want to hand over a decision like that, a moral decision, to AI. I mean, and speaking of Tesla, they just recalled several tens of thousands of vehicles because they run stop signs. And so there right there is a problem with AI So, I think we're relying on AI too soon. That's my opinion. I'm not a scientist. I'm not an expert on this subject, but I just feel like we're rushing into it maybe just a little bit too quickly before it's tested.
Well, who said that? Who said it was ever going to be done on an equal basis?
What do you mean?
Where we would grow right alongside with our technological advances.
Yes, humans?
Yeah.
I don't think that's possible.
That's what I mean. I think that we're getting to a point where we're creating far above and beyond what we should be given.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah.
Because we're not handling what we've gotten so far very well.
No, that's well put.
I feel like social media is the wedge of indifference now that is separating us more than anything, because we don't have to step outside to have a conversation. We can sit at home in our underwear right on our computer and become keyboard warriors and say whatever the hell we want to say.
Yeah, and in moderation, things like that are just fine. But I think for some people that has become the norm, and it's become the crux in their life that they rely on way too much. And I think it's devastating.
Stephen Hawking, before he passed, made a prediction that he said that he gave humanity 200 years, and then we would wipe ourselves out. When you hear stuff like that, especially coming from someone like him, who's pretty educated, knowledgeable, what do you make of that?
Well, I think that's a sobering statement that we need to think about, and maybe say, why would we get to that point? What's going to cause us to get there?
I mean, don't you think to an extent that maybe certain philosophies out there it's been a danger in making us feel like we're special in a way? Like, I feel like we as humanity have just forgotten that we're fleas on a dog's back when it comes to this planet. Like everyone seems to kind of miss the broader picture.
That we're making ourselves out to be too self-important?
Well, we're just this little spaceship.
Yeah.
Flying through the cosmos, not we're on that scale we just seem to be insurmountable.
Or we'd like to think that we are infallible and impervious to everything, but I think something will come along, it always does, to humble us and draw us back to the real reality that we are really not that great. I mean, we're just a bunch of children trying to make it on the playground here, and
Do you think we're going to ever become interplanetary?
Not by ourselves. I think that would have to come with the aid of perhaps others on other planets or worlds that maybe have achieved that. I think it would take us quite a while to ever get there. I mean, are you talking warp drives now? Are we going to get spaceships with warp drives that are going to be capable of taking us to other galaxies?
They say that that's completely feasible with if you learn how to bend space-time, then you really don't have to necessarily travel at a certain speed. It's that bending of space-time that gets you from one place to the other. And that's where, I mean, I like to think I'm smart, but when you start going into quantum entanglement and all of that stuff, it's really hard for me to grasp that stuff.
That's above my pay grade.
But it's cool. Like, I remember when I first grasped relativity. That is freaking cool that you can take two clocks at sea level, synchronize them completely, and then take one up 70,000 feet in the air, and you're going to have a time discrepancy. That is just so cool.
Yep.
That you can,
Yeah, like I said, that's above my pay grade.
I mean, that they wouldn't even be able to have GPS function adequately without putting in that formula, that mathematical formula to distinguish the time down here and the time up there. Like if they didn't work that out, then you'd end up like 10 miles off course.
Yeah, it's
somewhere.
Well, it's amazing what humans have achieved. It really is. I mean, the things that we've accomplished, the things that we've done, the things that we've created in this world. I mean, it's It's mind-boggling, and to think that just little old us, you know, the little fleas on the back of the dog, like you put it, that we've done all this. It's freaking amazing.
You know who pisses me off?
No, I don't. Me?
No, not you. Yeah, he's quickly becoming one of my axis of evils.
Uh-oh.
Though, is that
You sure you want to?
You
want to identify this person?
Yeah, William Shatner.
What?
William Shatner.
What, Captain Kirk?
Yeah. Why the hell does he get to go up into space?
Oh, I see. You're envious. You're jealous.
Yeah.
You're jealous that he got to go up and you didn't.
Hey.
Well, because he's an icon and you're not quite there yet.
You know what? But that's the thing. That's the problem with our frickin' society.
What?
It's all about the icons, the people that we put up on these stupid pedestals. Like, who gives a damn what who they say is LeBron James? Who gives a damn what LeBron James says? You know what I mean? Like, we idolize these freaking people that are making exuberant amounts of money because they can play a game well,
and then they have an open platform to say whatever they want to, and
and say any misinformation they want.
Yeah,
nobody calls them out.
I really wish that celebrities and superstars like that would be a little bit more circumspect and careful about what they say and spew out there into the public. I mean, none of us have that platform like they do, and for them to take advantage of it like that so lightly, I don't know. But hey, back to the William Shatner thing. You know, it's a sentimental thing. Come on, he starred in one of the greatest TV programs ever made.
Should have sent up Patrick Stewart.
Maybe,
Patrick
but
Stewart
maybe
was way better.
Maybe they contacted Patrick Stewart and he said, I'm not ready, or I'm not healthy enough, or who knows.
When you have to sit a person down and go, okay, look, we're going to go up into space. If we find any aliens, we don't want you to sleep with them. I mean, that's the conversation they had to have with good William. He wanted to bring up condoms. They're like, William, we're not going down this road. This isn't the Star Trek Hugh Hefner ship that you were flying.
No, that's not William Shatner. I know you're just joshing us, but hey, one of these days you're going to become iconic. This podcast is going to take off like crazy.
Oh, yeah, baby. It's going all the way.
It will. And then they will come to you and say, Josh, we'd like you to go into space with Elon.
If it was Jeff Bezos asking me, I would tell him, I believe I would use a Star Trek quote, and I'd say, if I were human, I believe my response would be, go to hell. But that's if I were human.
There you go.
Who said that? I
don't remember.
It was Spock.
Was it Spock?
Yeah.
There you go.
And I think it was one of my favorite of this original series films, Undiscovered Country.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I love that movie. Yeah. I love Undiscovered Country.
There you
Rural
go.
Pente. That's where we should send all the homeless people.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
It went dark quick, but one day we'll have to talk about that. No, but Jeff Bezos kind of is the Lex Luthor of the space race. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
I'm just not a big Jeff Bezos fan. I don't know why. He just seems, well, first they're like way behind the 8 ball. I love how they're like, Elon's like, really? You guys just made it up into the substratosphere? Way to go. We did that like 7 years ago.
Yeah, okay. Well, like I said, I'm not an authority on any of this kind of stuff. It's out of my league.
It's just opinion, baby.
But but at least they're trying. At least somebody's giving it a shot. If they're gonna stifle NASA from doing what it was created to do, then it's going to go to the private sector, and bless these guys for spending the money and getting the engineers together to even do this kind of stuff. I think that's wow. If you
could do it, would you put a microchip in your head?
No.
No? You don't like the cyborg thing?
Nope.
See, I would.
Like Johnny Mnemonic. Do you remember that movie?
I do.
Yeah.
Those movies are freaking awesome.
Yeah. No, I would never put anything in my head.
Really?
No.
I wonder how many people said that, though, about the next generation.
Look, I'm going to be honest. My brain is far superior to any microchip that you could put in there, and I'm not going to mess with my brain. Not gonna mess
No,
with it.
yours. You might actually have a good argument there. You've gotten yours figured out. However, there are a lot of other people that could use a microchip. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
No, it is exciting though. Well, it's exciting and scary at the same time because technology offers us so many advancements in other places and then hinders us, I believe, in other areas.
It does.
And one of those, I believe that anything that takes away the human connection
Agreed.
is bad.
Or Earth connection. I think there's a lack of connection to this planet. You know, people talk about climate change and this and that and the other like they're really concerned, but really don't have any connection to the earth at all. I don't think young children are growing up with a connection to the earth. They're sitting in their rooms playing their games and everything's on a screen, you know? I really think that there needs to be a reconnection to this planet. I really do. And I think until we do that, we're just going to be a bunch of people sitting around, like I said, living their lives on screens. And I think that's truly unfortunate.
And maybe that comes from going up into space.
You
saw what a profound effect that had on Mr. William Shatner.
Yeah.
You know, I met him once.
No. Oh, at a Comic-Con kind of thing?
He was at the Salt Lake Comic-Con. And he was wasted.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he was.
Well, let's not
drunk.
let's not bash on William Shatner because I like William Shatner.
I'm not bashing. I'm just saying it was one of those. I think in the last time we were together, I was talking about how you don't want to meet your heroes.
Oh yeah.
That was one
okay.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You build up this experience.
Yeah.
They mean so
There's
much
expectation,
to you.
and then
all of a sudden you meet him, and you're like, oh.
But you know what? Isn't that a good dose of reality that we're all just humans?
Yeah, it's a dose of reality, and it's also a reminder of how sad it is that we continue to idolize people that shouldn't be idolized.
Perhaps.
People are more concerned about what the damn Kardashians are doing and what underwear they have on versus what's going on in the world and what we can do to
Yeah, but I don't think that's
help each other.
I don't think that's a lot of people. I don't think there's a lot of people who are concerned with that kind of frivolous stuff. I think that's purely entertainment for people that are bored.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you think that the world is more evil today than it was, say, 100 years ago?
Nope.
Ha ha. Interesting. Why?
Because I think that humans are humans and always will be humans. And we live the same kind of lives no matter what generation or era we lived in. We just live it with different technology. That's all. We're all people, and people do the same stupid things no matter if it was back in the 1400s or the 1800s or today or even before that in the Egyptian, period where they ruled everything. Look at the Romans. I mean, people do stupid things all the time, and evil will always be present as long as there are stupid humans.
So when you hear things mainly from like religious philosophy about how before the second coming of Christ can derive because the world has to.
I thought it was Elvis.
So evil. It could be. We don't know yet. That's the thing. I mean, how awesome would it be if he came down with a guitar and he's like,
Thank you very much. Everyone's going to heaven. Hell yeah, put it together.
There you go. You're talking about the second coming of Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah, but not specifically the second coming of Jesus Christ, as much as the all religions seem to have this same story that before that happens, the earth is supposed to get more evil than it ever has been to the point where we need him to come down. And that's the heart. You look at like Genghis Khan. Okay?
Yeah.
From that era.
Yeah.
Guy kills 70 million people or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you look at today and you're like, hey, we can go down and go to the grocery store without having to worry about an IED coming and taking us out.
No, okay, so here's my take on that, Josh. If you have one person on the planet that's evil, then you have evil on the planet. If you have 2 million people on the planet that are evil, you still have evil on the planet. It's just exponentially greater. If everybody on the planet were evil, you still have evil on the planet. Again, it's just exponentially greater. The evil isn't any different. The evil is the same. It's just that there is more of it. So if you're talking about the earth is supposed to get more evil, I think that just means that there are going to be more people that are involved with bad things or destructive things or hurtful things than perhaps right now. That's what I think.
I just always thought it was a silly proposition that it would have to, the whole basis, the whole contingent on there being a second coming is that the world had to get significantly evil. Like, why couldn't it just be time?
It's already evil. Oh, no, it's already evil. Yeah. It's always been.
Always been.
The world is not evil. Let's rephrase that. In my opinion, the world is not evil. I think the world is a good place. I think there's evil in it. There's also good in it. So what's the balance of evil to good? I want to believe that there's more good in this world than there is evil.
And I think that there's evidences to
I think
completely prove that.
Yeah, I think goodness far surpasses the amount of evil that is present. But the evil gets the attention.
Well, and we continuously through media and other sources get pinned against each other.
Yeah.
We really do.
Yeah.
They find excuses for us to fight.
Yep.
And sometimes we're just not intelligent enough to realize what's going on, and we end up drinking the Kool-Aid.
And that's the sadness, isn't it? If we're not smart enough to see what's going on, that we're being manipulated into these kinds of, situations where we fight against each other or hate each other, whatever, that's sad. That's sad. And that's where it's really our responsibility, ourselves as a human being, to be compassionate, to be loving, to be empathetic toward everybody, and not be manipulated by anything, any government, any media, anything. But there are people that are too gullible, and they give into that stuff.
And going full circle back to the music thing,
Mm-hmm.
and how that affects us.
Mm-hmm. I
feel like we all have a frequency that we put off, an energy.
Interesting.
I only say that because we are electrical. We put out an EMP.
Mm-hmm.
We've got electricity running through our bodies.
Yeah,
and I think that when you hear music that touches you, it's kind of meeting that frequency and matching that frequency, and it does something to you. It creates emotion. I mean,
that's fascinating.
I don't necessarily particularly believe in a certain religious theology,
Mm-hmm.
but when I hear spiritual music,
Mm-hmm.
you get those tingly feelings. Just like if I'm listening to Avenged Sevenfold. There's been Avenged Sevenfold songs that I've listened to that I get that same feeling.
Yeah.
And I think that somehow, some way, music ties all of us together in a way. Like when you're at a concert and everyone's feeling the same thing and everyone's vibing off of that music, it really is an intensified energy. Like you can feel it.
Oh yeah.
It's in the room.
Oh yeah.
Just like when you walk into a room and people are pissed, and you can automatically feel the negative energy coming off of them.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like that comes from, and I feel like people that we meet, that we bring into our life, kind of like a gravitational pull. They're people that think or emit that same frequency, and it draws us together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many people have you seen that like are with someone and then they break up, but then the next person they end up with is almost just like that other person, except they're different people?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, you almost attract that same thing. So you have to do what you have to with yourself to align yourself to have a better frequency.
That's
and then
interesting.
More positive things.
No, that's a really interesting concept that fascinates me. I'll have to give that a lot of thought and let that ruminate in the old brain for a bit.
Marinate.
Yeah.
To let it marinate. Well, it's always a pleasure talking to you, man.
Yeah, it is.
Like, we never run out of things to talk about, and I'm glad I got to pick your brain on music, because music is that has meant so much to me in my life. And even to this day, to be able to put in a 3-minute song and be driven to an emotional break, rather you be crying or laughing,
it's powerful
so quickly. That is powerful.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's that much out there that does that, other than maybe someone actually drawing your attention and looking you in the eyes and going, hey, I just want you to know I value you as a person. You kind of get that same feeling,
that energy
there.
yeah.
But music just has such a profound way. I mean, look at how it affects babies that don't know anything about anything,
right?
And they hear a certain beat or something, and they just start to shake it, baby.
Well, sure, and look at all the young people out there that constantly are wearing earbuds.
Right.
I mean, music does something to them personally and affects their lives in a way that they can't get away from it. You know, I've often asked my students in the past, what would life be like without music?
Oh, man.
And the answers are absolutely amazing that I've read over the years and heard. But seriously, think about that. What would life be like without music? It wouldn't be worth living.
Suck.
Yeah.
It would completely suck.
Right. So music is a powerful force, and I love it, and it'll be a part of my life forever.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us once again. You're a
My pleasure.
Great friend of the show.
Anytime. Just don't let it be so long between.
No,
in between.
hey, and listen, it wasn't because we couldn't get anyone else to talk to us either. I want you to know that. That has nothing to do with it, man. You've always been at the top of the list.
There you go. There you go.
Anyway, you've been listening to the Just Josh and You podcast. I'm Josh Hansen alongside Kerry Moore, who decided to stop in and say hi to us today. Please check us out on Spotify and Instagram. Like, share, subscribe. We need to get the word out there so we can get more listeners. I appreciate everyone that is listening. You guys have no idea how much I value your ears, and I try not to take advantage of that and give you a mixture of entertainment and enlightenment the best that we can. But for now, we're going to say peace be unto you, be well, and try and make the best out of whatever circumstance you might find yourself in, and we'll catch you on the flip side.